Um, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. I'm really grateful for me having been invited to this conference. It's also amazing to speak in front of distinguished women scholars. It's one of the most difficult things, as Professor mentioned here. And I'm going to take exactly 10 minutes. I give a presentation, which I'm not going to, I'll just preview what I had, so that in the interest of time. The beautiful thing of speaking at last is that you will always have nothing to say, because everything has been said. But I just want to highlight a few things that have been mentioned. Diversity means really difference. And the reality of existence of difference is that social groups exist. And the question is, how do these social groups, how are they defined? When we look at how women are defined, how is it the right way to define who the woman is? Have there been certain perspectives that have been put in place that sort of subjugate women and make them appear substandard to an extent that for them to leverage and reach certain levels, they have to fight it out? And I think that when we look at certain philosophical principles that have informed the definitions of social groupings that then makes diversity a key concept that is significant, is very important. One of the things that come into mind for me, because the definition of social groupings is very important, because that is where the agenda for diversity emerges. That is where the agenda for defining who a woman is, what social group is, emerges. And in philosophical concepts, there are things that have been raised, like, for example, the issues about symbolic interactionism. This ideally is about how we are able to the epitome and the image of success that every other person wants to be like. So as STEMists, one of the ways in which we can ensure that we cultivate diversity is to clearly define what kind of success do we want in STEM. And through this philosophy, we must see this essence of defining and advocating for clear pathway for STEM. When you look at the lawyers in this country, for example, have been able to create a blank check for themselves in this country. There is nothing and there is no discussion that will ever happen in this country where lawyers are not involved. Because they realized the power of creating themselves as a special social group in the country. STEM is the backbone of production. But the reason why we continue to become a consuming country is because we are steering off our population into a consumption trend. And simply because we have leveraged those who promote consumption to be the image of success. The second thing that I want to mention is the structural functionism, which is a very key concept that appreciates that every society is composed of working groups or composed of different segments. It appreciates actually diversity, that every society has got components and parts that each work together to make the society stable. The car, all the components work together to make the car move. And the question is, how then as STEMists, as chemistry, can we be able to leverage on this perspective to make ourselves be seen in the society? One of the things that come into place and has been spoken widely about is the concept of multidisciplinarity in research. And I'm glad that this was mentioned by Professor here. And how do we inculcate this multidisciplinarity in our research beyond the gender, looking at the various groups so that we come up with research needs, with research outputs that meet the needs of our people who we target, who are the community. The concept of the triple helix model and the quadruple helix model, how we can engage the various stakeholders in our researches so that our research outputs actually meet the needs of those who we expect to bring the solutions for. And the beauty of The triple helix model or the quadruple helix model, which involves the involvement of industry, research, and government, or by extension, you can incorporate media and civil society, is that you bring all these people together to enrich our research outputs. This is very important, and I believe that this is the direction that many of the advanced countries have gone in terms of ensuring that their research outputs meet the standards that, and the solutions that come up are those that which meet the needs of the society. And of course, this is also what Professor had mentioned, that some of the research outputs that we come up with do not meet the needs of the society and the community. I've worked with women, and I chair an organization that is in charge of women programs, and I have seen what women go through in communities. The organization actually works with women who have been affected or infected by HIV/AIDS, and we have seen what they go through. And the last thing, Dr. Ari, and I'm sitting, the last thing I want to mention, which is the last perspective I'm bringing, is the labeling perspective. If everything goes and we cannot achieve anything, one of the things that women must, and all of us, and I am a feminist in this perspective, I believe that women are fair. And the world will be better off if we are led by the fairness and the instincts and the compassion of a mother. But we can, even if we do not get to that levels of leadership, we can use that compassion to drive fairness in our institution, beyond gender and beyond the diversity of ethnicity, beyond the diversity of race and every other thing. The world will be beautiful if you create that compassion and bring that compassion into our world, because you view the world differently from the logics of men. This is, for me, the biggest challenge, that if you forgot every other thing that I would have wanted to tell you, is that remember that you are the women and you are fair. And your fairness in instinct and compassion in your approach to issues could actually solve the wars of the world,